Just a bit of intro into the video. My in-game name is Lord Fears, or Fears for short. I'm going to try my best to keep this short and sweet whilst providing as much information as possible. So the most important step by far is to go into settings and turn your aim acceleration to max. Anyways, ignoring what I previously said, let's start with some basics. Usually most players will spend their time in two stances, third person and ADS, which is short for aim down sight. If we hop into the settings, there's a lot of different values here that may confuse some, and I don't blame you. Realistically, you shouldn't mess with the first couple of settings that say inverted or motion sensor aim, but rather start at controller aim speed. The easiest way to explain this is that it is the base speed that your character will turn at. It affects your ADS and third person stance. My best advice is to leave this at 1 and rather fine tune the other settings. Now as you can see, the next few settings have the word multiply in it. What that means is that it's going to take your base controller aiming speed and multiply it by the value you choose to get a completely new sensitivity. It sounds very confusing, but a very simple example. If my controller aiming speed is 1.5 and my multiplier for aiming mode is 2, the sensitivity I will turn at, while ADS is 3, which is the 1.5 multiplied by the 2. You need to really give it some thought to understand, and if you understand how it works, it will massively help to fine tune your aim. So as I said, the next few are multipliers. These are my settings that I find adequate to track most players in fights, but it's good to experiment on your own and find what you're most comfortable with. Don't worry too much about first person and vehicle mode unless you use those stances. The next setting is important for players who have stick drift. Stick drift is basically when your controller turns by itself due to damage, interference or dirt. Dead zone simply sets an area around your joystick where it will not register an input, thereby negating the input caused by the before mentioned issues. Left stick is not as important as it dictates how you move in different directions. 5% or 10% would suffice if your controller doesn't move by itself. However, the right stick is vital for accuracy. My advice is to have it as low as possible without having your controller turn by itself. Sometimes this may not be possible and you will have to increase it as a compromise. However, don't go past 15% as it will really begin to hinder your aim. Aim assist is very controversial, but my final verdict on it is that you should have it off for a more consistent experience. Simply what it does, it creates an area around an enemy where your aim will be slowed, so it's easier for you to micro adjust to the target. As you can see, the problem with this is that the aim assist in this game is too strong and it slows down your aim too much, which makes tracking harder, so I suggest leaving it off. Vibration is a personal preference. I have it off because I feel at times it can mess with your aim when your hands are shaking. Lastly, aim acceleration. This I suggest put it at 0 as it makes your aim inconsistent as it introduces an exponential factor when you are turning. The way it works, the longer you turn in one direction, the faster your sensitivity will become, which is just ridiculous to learn how to play with. So this is by far the hardest part, learning and understanding what these settings do so that you can fine tune your experience to suit your playstyle. Aerial aiming. To understand how to shoot in the air, we first need to look at the reticle provided to us. At the start position, where it is small and pronounced, means that your character is accurate when they shoot. For example, if I were to hip fire, the bullets will stay within the reticle, or if I ADS, my bullets will go where I'm aiming. However, if I move side to side, my reticle enlarges and I become less accurate. The important thing to note is that vertical movement does not affect accuracy, whether it be during low grav, ghost shit, or just simply jumping. The only thing affecting accuracy is horizontal movements. Therefore, when hip firing or generally shooting in the sky, while moving horizontally, the gunfight will be 50% tracking and 50% luck, which brings uncertainty to the fight. My best advice is to get yourself into position where you are only moving vertically to get a more accurate shot. Although this may not always be possible, sometimes you just have to rely on luck. Next topic is recoil. Pretty self-explanatory. Crouching, prone, glasses, passives and rituals help reduce recoil. Even aim 2 helps give a better perception of it. However, it is up to you to decide what stance to take when firing your gun, which comes from experience. With regards to tracking, it is heavily dependent on how comfortable you are with your sensitivity. The more comfortable you are with panning your reticle smoothly in all directions, the easier it will become to track. Just remember not to have your sensitivity too low, as there are many cases where players are moving fast. Now to talk about weapons. Weapons have different recoil patterns, bullet velocities, and rates of fire. I would say don't worry too much about recoil patterns, as recoil is easily controllable, but rather understand each weapon's bullet velocities and rate of fire. Bullet velocities play a major role when firing long distances, as it determines how much you need to lead your bullets to hit your target. Leading bullets means firing in front of your target, predicting their trajectory in order for your bullets to reach them as they move through that trajectory. Rate of fire just simply means how fast the guns fire. They vary from gun to gun. Just try to get familiar with them, as sometimes they play a role in recoil. Finally, these are just some throwaway clips that I had, which was pretty decent tracking in the concepts we talked about. Nothing special, but good for demonstration. Anyways, I appreciate anyone who stayed till the end and took the time to watch. Hope I was able to help you, and hope to see you on the battlefield. Thank you.